and welcome to This Week in James City County. I'm your host, Renee Dahlman. Today, we are very fortunate to be joined by some great folks from the Williamsburg Area Transit Authority, also known as WATA. And I do not believe that we have ever had folks from WATA on our podcast. So this is very exciting for all of us here. So to begin with, we have Matt Scalia. Matt, you are the Executive Director, correct?
That is right, Renee. Thank you.
Very good. And we are also joined by Iyanla Xo. And Iyanla is the Marketing and Administrative Specialist. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Very good. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you both are here.
Thank you very much for having us. First time for us, but I suppose when we started in 1977, you weren't running podcasts.
Probably not. No. So, but I was alive and I was in school. But anyway, no, podcasts are pretty new here. So I am so glad that you all have been able to get out of your office and come out here and do this podcast. When I say get out of your office, for those of you that are watching, you're actually still in your office, but to just do something a little different than what we normally do. So I know that almost anyone driving around in the James City County or the city of Williamsburg see your buses driving around. You've got great ads on the buses now. They're good looking buses. That is for sure.
Yeah, look at that chevron right there.
I love it. I love it. That was the first thing I said when you all popped up on the screen. It's like, oh, I love that. That's awesome. So I thought maybe it would be a good way to handle all of this would be if you want to give us a little bit of a background of the history of WATA. And then we'll talk a little bit about a snapshot maybe of what services like here in the area, as well as talk a little bit about future plans. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you, Matt, and you can take it from here.
We got it. Yeah. So Renee, thank you very much. We're very excited to be part of this. We consider public outreach opportunities like this to be very important to our mission because we do recognize a lot of people don't understand what we do. They question, what are those buses doing around here? But we're proud of the service we provide the community, so it's important for us to help spread the word on what we do. But for the history, I'm going to turn it over to Iyanla.
Yeah.
Great.
So like Matt said, we did start in 1977 as James City County Transit, so more of a door-to-door service. And then as the service demand grew in some areas of York County and in the city of Williamsburg, we rebranded to the Williamsburg Area Transport. And then in 2008, with the Virginia General Assembly Charter, we officially became the Williamsburg Area Transit Authority, or WATA. So now we also work with the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, and we're able to provide a route for the College of William and Mary.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So tell me, what does your ridership look like? How long are you all on the roads every day? Those just general basic information.
Yeah, great. So we're on the road 7 days a week. There's only 3 days we don't run, and those are the three major holidays: Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. But otherwise, every other day, on Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Sunday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I think pretty convenient. Now, as far as ridership goes, I'll tell you, like many other organizations and agencies, we're still climbing out of COVID. And what that did to us. Now, a big shout out to our operators. When most everybody else shut down for COVID, we did not. We were one of those essential services. We had to keep going. We had to make sure people could make it to the stores, make it to their medical appointments, make it to their jobs. So we continued to run, albeit at reduced service than before. We too lost a lot of employees to the pandemic. Well, because of the pandemic, and so we had to reduce our services accordingly. Because of that, we are not quite to what how we used to operate in terms of service hours. We didn't shut down any routes. Just our operating hours were reduced a bit. Now, in the past year, summer of 23 to summer of 24, we were able to increase our operator strength a good 15% to where we could reinstate some of those more important hours. For example, Route 1 down to Lee Hall and Route 2 Richmond Road, we reinstated 30-minute frequency during peak hours, 6:30 to 9:30 in the morning and 3:30 to 6:30 in the afternoon for those rush hours, right? and that's been very helpful. We haven't been able to do that again on Merrimack Trail for peak hours as we used to, and even now we've lost a few more employees recently for various reasons. So it's touch and go a bit, and I hate that we're not as consistent as we really need to be for our community. But we're trying hard, so we appreciate people supporting us, and again continuing to bring on more operators to improve and increase our services. We run 39 buses, and that's a combination of the big buses you see out there on our fixed routes. And then we have, it also includes our paratransit service. And this is a service required for us in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And it's door to door for those who are unable to make it to our other bus stops or, incapable of riding our other buses. Though all our buses are ADA compliant, for any number of reasons, maybe they're unable to make it to a bus stop and ride on a bus. So that's where we provide the ADA service. Very important. That said, it's not, there are some restrictions in particular to the ADA service we provide, and that it's not in the entire community of footprint of James City County, York County, or the city of Williamsburg. It's fixed within 3/4 of a mile off of our fixed route. We just we have to limit it somehow because of our resource constraints. So that's a bit of our current service.
Okay, well, and I would imagine even with when you have to limit the paratransit, that I imagine both of the hospitals are covered and all of the medical offices that are around those, correct?
Yeah, yes. I mean, we hit all the major hospitals and all our routes hit the major thoroughfares and places of business, et cetera. Absolutely.
Okay, very good. So can you give an idea in terms of numbers on ridership? How many people do you all have taking the bus each day?
Yeah, great question. So for FY24, we run the state fiscal year. So from with July of 23 to June of 24, our total ridership was 819,000. So just falling short of 1 million. We're close to pre-pandemic numbers in terms of overall ridership. But I would offer, actually, when we look at ridership, average ridership per bus per operating hour, I believe we've surpassed that. The reason the numbers aren't as high as I explained before, we're just not running as frequently as we used to. Mm-hmm. We don't have the same hours, we don't have the same number of buses. So what that tells me is there is still a real interest in and need for public transit. And when we provide more services, increase buses, increase frequency, increase reliability and convenience, we will only see our ridership numbers grow. So I'm confident we'll break 1 million riders this fiscal year.
That's great. I did not realize that it was that high. That's great. So now,
very happy with that.
In terms of the folks that ride, so I'm sure that there's a large number of folks that are taking the bus to and from work. But do you also have a tourism component? Do we have a lot of folks that come to visit the area and then we'll hop on the bus to go to Colonial Williamsburg or to go to Busch Gardens?
Yeah, a great question. So a little bit over a year ago, we, with a contract and agreement with Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, we essentially took over their bus service. We used to be their closed route around the historic area. That is now a WATA route. It maintained the same frequency, 15 minutes. We dedicate 2 buses, sometimes 3, depending on the crowds and our resources available. Try to keep those crowds moving. It's a tough route. It can get very, very busy there. But we were fortunate to have all those previous CW operators just come over and join our team, and their buses are now a part of our fleet. Now, as far as that taking on that route and us looking as an entire network, the one change to the route was we added in the transportation center at the Amtrak station, where 6 of our other routes meet at the top of the hour for transfers. We now have Route 15 Colonial edge in there as well. So the example I like to give is we have tourists, we have families staying at Great Wolf Lodge, right? They can hop on the bus in 5 minutes. They make it to our transfer center north part by the Walmart. And then they can hop on either Route 2 or Route 7 and take it right down to the transportation center by the train station. And then they can pick up Route 15 Colonial and be Colonial Williamsburg Visitor Center and be about 40-45 minutes. Not a bad deal, if you can not have to deal with parking, and so having that connection of that route with all the others, we think is very beneficial to the tourism community and, therefore our community at large.
Now, this is well, it's not really off topic, but it's a little bit more in the weeds just because I find branding and logos and things very fascinating. Do you see the silver Colonial Williamsburg buses ever eventually changing to WATA colors and WATA branding?
Do you have my office bugged, Renee? As a matter of fact, we are. So we when we assumed that their buses into our fleet, getting those things rewrapped and repainted is not a cheap endeavor. So we received a grant to be able to do so, and we're in the process right now of getting that done. So we'll start seeing those change in the next couple months or so.
Okay, well, that's great. Now, I do have to confess, I did not bug your office. That is not what I'm confessing about. But years and years and years ago, and we've got some slides that we've been showing, and one of them has a picture of a director from years and years ago, Richard Drumright. When he was there, they did a program where they tried to do an ambassador situation where they would let somebody that would volunteer sit on the bus and talk to citizens and everything. I did that for a short period of time. So if you ever decide you want to go back to that, give me a call. I have more spare time now that my kids are old. So but anyway, so love it. And I love that connection between tourism, which is so critical to this community, plus getting people to and from work. I mean, I'm very proud, and I know that you all are as well with what we're able to offer here. So that's amazing. But I know that you all are also not going to just rest on your laurels and say, okay, we have a good bus system, check, okay, moving on. I know that you're constantly thinking and working on new plans for the future. Do y'all want to fill us in on some of those?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll start by describing our transit strategic plan, and then pass it to Iyanla to talk about some of our technology improvements for our passengers. So we just recently, our board of directors just recently approved, and we submitted to the state our 10-year transit strategic plan. So what do we look like in 10 years? Okay. And this is a good 1.5-year process with the community on determining what is it that the community wants. And then how are we going to achieve that? So it started in December of 2023 with a survey. I'm sorry, 2022, with a survey to the community on what they would like to see. Now, in the world of transit, we really talk in terms of ridership versus coverage. Okay, so if you have 10 buses, do you want them covering as wide a coverage as possible? You can do that, but then your ridership perhaps would be lower because you're not able to run the buses multiple times on the busy routes. Okay, so the alternative would be ridership. You take those 10 buses, but you concentrate them multiple times on the busy avenues to get more riders. So it's a give and take, and you try to find the right balance. So with input from the community, our stakeholders and public engagements, our board of directors had us try to find that 70-30 split, 70% of resources geared towards ridership and another 30% towards coverage. So and we had a consultant come up, develop a plan, and constant communication and collaboration. Put it back out to the public for feedback, and it was 75% of the public responded that it was good for them as an individual, good for people that they know, and they saw it as good for the region as a whole. So very, very good feedback with this plan. So what that plan looks like. it's 3-phase plan, 2 years per phase, and it's I say 2 years plan per phase, but it's really resources driven, right? Do we have the buses and the number of operators we need to be able to meet this plan? And phase one, we hope to implement next fiscal year, FY26. And that has us moving to 30-minute frequency all day for Route 1 Lee Hall and Route 2 Richmond Road. So instead of just during the peak hours, we'd have it all day long. We find that we've had a lot of people ask for extended hours frequency because they don't end work at 3:30 or 4:30, 5:30. A lot of them work later; they still need to get home. So that's why that became a very important place for us to start. Also incorporated in this plan is minor retweaking of some of our routes in the northern area because we will break ground within the next year and in a couple of years have complete a new transfer facility. So instead of transfers for 4 of our routes at the Walmart off Rochambeau, we will have our own dedicated WATA transfer center. Very excited about that. It will provide the amenities that our passengers and our operators deserve. So great cooperation and appreciation to the state, to federal funding as well. Our senators were very active in making sure we'd have the funds to be able to provide this, and of course our localities to make this a reality. So that's phase one. Okay, phase two will increase frequency again to 30 minutes on Moortown Road, Route 7, and Merrimack Trail. Again, 30-minute all-day frequency. Those I would say would be our next 2 most important routes where it's increased from 60 to 30-minute frequency. Also important, we're increasing frequency on Route 11 Lackey from 90-minute, our only 90-minute route, to 60-minute, and we'll reroute it a bit so it extends down to Yorktown, so a little bit further than goes now, but still gets down to Lee Hall, and then to where it can connect with Route 1, but also reroute, it can connect with Merrimack Trail, Route 3. So that route will become much more convenient than it currently is. And lastly, phase 3, which we hope to implement by 2030, and that is increased frequency on Route 12, which is currently 30 minutes to 15 minutes. And that's Route 12 is ironbound. So it goes from the transportation center, the train station, down to Newtown. To have that as 15 minutes would be a game changer for businesses, residents, employees, employers. So that'd be a big one.
Absolutely. So where is the farthest? Okay, say that I would get on the bus at Walmart on Rochambeau. Could I make it eventually all the way down to the south side or down to the peninsula through transfers to other systems?
You can, and Renee, you hit on the point that something else we need to work on. We only have one transfer point with Hampton Roads Transit, and that's at Lee Hall. I think in the future, there's certainly potential for us in the future to make other connections. So that might be in the next transit strategic plan. It's why it's important we increase frequency on Route 1, so there's more opportunities to make those connections. But unfortunately, that's all we have at the moment. Now, Hampton Roads Transit does have an express, which only hits a couple times a day, morning and the afternoon at the train station. So that is a direct route to their own train station in Newport News, but it's again not very frequent.
Well, and I would imagine that they are operating under some of the same restrictions that you all in terms of numbers of buses, numbers of operators, and all of that, I would imagine.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what else can you tell us about the strategic plan?
I'm going to hand it off to Iyanla now.
So our other initiative that we're really excited for is mobile ticketing. So right now we use a transit app for our real-time trip planning. So you may already have the app if you travel to New York City or Washington, D.C., but we use it mainly for real-time travel predictions for all of our routes and all of your trip planning. So you can put in your destination and figure out where you can go in the Williamsburg area. And also you can see real-time service alerts. So if there's a traffic delay or a detour in one of the routes, or if one of the stops or routes are closed for the day, you can see that in real time when you're planning your trip. But we are excited, anticipating in early 2025 that we'll have mobile ticketing through the transit app. So you can purchase all day, weekly, and monthly bus passes through the app. And if you're not able to purchase it through the app at the moment, you can go to a store such as Walmart or CVS, 7-Eleven, and you can purchase it at the store and upload it to your transit app. So I'm really excited about that.
That is very exciting. And that is definitely something that I've experienced and seen in other communities and cities as well. It's a game changer in terms of using public transportation. I think that's amazing.
So I downloaded the transit app 12 or 14 years ago on a trip to New York, and it'd been hiding out and on my phone and never used it again until, what's this transit app? Maybe I should download it. I go to download it and it says update. Like, look at that. I've had it all along. And so it really is easy to understand, make your route planning much easier, make the payment so much easier. I like to, talk to those who don't ride public transit frequently, right? I remember the first time getting on a bus, I didn't want to be that guy. Right? How am I going to pay? I'm fumbling around with the dollar bills. Is it going to feed it? The bus drivers there are very helpful. Let me help you with that, right? Prints off the pass, hands it to me. But boy, if we can take that step out of the process, if I can just pay it off the phone, right? If I can plan my route and not have to ask the directions, it'd be so much easier. So yes, this will be very, very important. That said, we're not doing away with any of our current payment options. So you'll still be able to pay when you enter the bus. You'll still be able to purchase tickets at our customer service desk.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. So what else? I know that you've said that earlier in the strategic planning process, you've engaged the public, the community in feedback and getting their input on the plans. What are other ways that you're continuing to engage with the community?
Talk to the advisory committee.
So, we're always trying to participate in different events throughout the community, but the way that we love to connect with the community most is through our advisory committee. Right. Basically, the advisory committee provides feedback to us about the different initiatives, our services, what basically being public transit advocates for the Williamsburg area. So right now, we currently have 6 members of the advisory committee. We're looking for a few more, but we would love to just have people come to our meetings and be able to give us feedback to make our service better.
Yeah, that's so important because we can all sit and think in our little offices of what it is that's the best way to do something. But unless we're talking with the public, we're just planning in a vacuum. That's amazing.
No, that's and so my offer then to everybody watching is let us come to you. We make presentations to and we have great relationships with the nonprofits in the area because of course a lot of them we share customers, right? Those who need public transit for jobs, for medical aid, et cetera. But we make presentations to the city council, boards of supervisors, as I did just with James City County last week, as a matter of fact, and business groups. So let us come to you. Love to hear from you and love to promote what we're doing and see what we can do better.
Okay, well, and I will definitely include at the end of the presentation or at the end of the podcast, contact information so people will be able to reach right out to you guys.
Fantastic.
So anything else before we start to wrap up?
Well, I'll say we're hiring.
Very good.
So listen, I've been with WATA about a year and a half now, and it's just a great team. We're small enough to where we can actually call ourselves a family. Yeah, it just it takes a little bit of time, hang out as the operators, come in and off shift, and see how they interact with one another, get along, and take care of each other. But we need some help. A lot of our operators are in their second career. I think a lot of them retired and then were promptly told while they were hanging out at home, "I love you, but I don't care what you do, but you're not doing it here. Go find something else to do." No, but truly, please come out. What I love the most about my operators is they recognize the service they provide. And so one of our core values is friendly service. And so I see it on display, how they take care of passengers who need that assistance, whether it's the first time riding or what have you. And just a quick anecdote to that. I remember one of the times I was riding and we're at the transfer station up at the Walmart, and I saw this young man get off, the rear doors, and then walk back up to the front of the bus, come back up, and give the operator a hug. And
Aw.
no words exchanged, but it was clear that there's a special relationship there. So it's a great team to join, and I hope others will consider.
Now, I do have a question. Do you have to have a special kind of driver's license, I would imagine, to drive a bus?
Yes, you do need the CDL, commercial driver's license, and rated P to be able to carry passengers. We provide all that training in-house, but certainly we prefer if you come with experience as well.
Okay, well, very good. There could be a future bus driving career in my future. I like that.
We'd love to have you, Renee.
Okay, but I do have to ask, can I talk to the guests or the passengers the entire time? Because I can talk nonstop. Bill,
so perhaps not. Although we do have one of our drivers likes to sing as he goes. Oh, he's got a good baritone, so it's pretty wonderful if you get him on the right day.
Okay, well, I don't have any good singing voice, but I can sing loudly and frequently. So yeah, okay, I may be.
Well, if you can't go with quality, go with quantity. There you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate both of you taking time out of your busy schedule to pop in and to chat with us today on the podcast.
Thank you, Renee. Absolutely our pleasure.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you come back again. So maybe sometime before 2030. So
okay, maybe we'll do it from a bus.
There we go. Oh,
that would be nice.
That would be very nice. Oh, we could do that.
Get your wheels spinning there. I got you.
Thank you. Stay tuned. Well, that wraps up this episode of This Week in James City County. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please take a few moments to go to our website. We're at jamescitycountyva.gov/podcast. And while there, you're going to be able to find a form that you can give us show ideas, comments, critiques, as well as find all of the episodes that we've ever done. So we would really appreciate your feedback and your listening and your viewing. So once again, all this great information about the services that are provided through the Williamsburg Area Transit Authority will be available here at the end. And we will talk with y'all next time. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.